But just after Gibson Park was replaced by Luke McGrath, the Tigers were penalised for taking a man out in the air, giving us yet another line-out chance, Mark.
Yeah, went for an initial maul. It might have actually been a pull-out maul that the Tigers got a hold of McKee, who had come on and actually had a nice little cameo himself at the back of it. And then as he turned his body into the maul, McGrath came around, little pop, nice flat pass to Harry Byrne, who was right in the face of the Leicester defence. I think Atkinson had come on at this stage and he didn't want to know about it. And Harry just ran hard and straight and committed his man. Lovely little pop inside to Jimmy O'Brien, who got a massive cheer, and you could see the smile on his face as he dotted down. Nobody deserved a try more than him.
And just before we return to the timeline, Mark, while Gary Ringrose was given star of the match, and to be fair, we were all predicting that after he got the first 2 tries, over the 80 minutes, there was a definite case to be made for Jimmy O'Brien. So I thought we'd take this chance to harp on his overall performance as well as his importance to both Leinster and Ireland. He probably first caught the eye outside these shores with his 4-try haul against Bath last season, but he was definitely showing promise a long time before that.
And he's a guy that's just taken his chances whenever he's gotten them. And he certainly had a cracking game on Saturday in everything that he did. Harsh on Larmour. Larmour did nothing wrong against Ulster. It was a crappy day, but with the way Leinster play, with the way Ireland play, the back 3 people always seem to have a siege gun boot somewhere along the line. And I know it might not be as long as James Lowe's, but it might be a bit more consistent than James Lowe's boot. And I think Jimmy O'Brien offers a versatility that coaches love as well.
Yeah. What do you make of O'Brien, Tom?
Yeah, as Mark touched on, I just think he's a rugby smarts. Do you know what I mean? I know he's a talented kid, but it's just in every facet of the game, he just seems to be. I don't know if he's either a natural at it or just tends to work very hard. Like he's been very safe under the high ball. You would think. Mark touched it earlier about Leicester trying maybe a kick chase or a high ball that might target Jimmy O'Brien, especially staying away from Hugo Keenan's side or whatever. But it's very rare he makes a mistake under the high ball. And he has also this great ability, just that massive injection of speed. He receives the ball at a certain pace and then he really hits the line. And you'd be surprised the number of defenders he commits to try and haul him down. He's not a big guy. You would think, here I am, well retired from playing rugby. You think, who would I fancy tackling on that Leinster team? You think, oh, well, I might have a go at Jimmy. But he takes in 2 or 3 defenders every time to stop him. Like, he does suck in defenders because of that injection of speed. And as you mentioned for his try with Ringrose, it's just those running lines that he runs. Just an intelligent player. If Lowe was out of, and I did think he'd get injured celebrating the Poxy try. If Lowe was out, you could see O'Brien fulfilling that role because he has a good boot on him as well, and you might see him switching wings. But hopefully it won't come to that, and we'll have both for Toulouse, and there's a few weeks away. So let's hope Lowe's is not too serious. We might get an update in the next day or two after the bank holiday weekend. But yeah, O'Brien has been one of these players. He just thought a few years ago, East was retiring, Rob Kearney was retiring. These back 3 players seem to be a little bit of a rarity, but then all of a sudden Keenan comes along and Jimmy O'Brien comes along, and it's an area of real strength for Leinster. And a lot of our attacking game is based off our back 3, on giving a sort of a platform further down the pitch. So, and O'Brien has been integral to that. He's just he's become a bit of a, how would you call it? A meme is the wrong word, but for a good player on social media. But he's much more than that. You know what I mean? I think a lot of teams would be happy to have him.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of his getting into the Ireland team, it wasn't his first involvement, having in his own in Ireland's 22 and having Gibson Park fire the ball back at him. He had to clear it. I mean, that's but just the fact that they're putting him in those situations shows the versatility he's shown and how he's. Yeah, I mean, it was Larmour getting injured, wasn't it, that kind of elevated him to the Leinster team, and maybe a dip in form for Larmour as well. But like you say, Larmour's coming back now, but O'Brien has just shown so much since he's got that opportunity that Larmour can't really make it back into the team.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's, as you say, Lammer hasn't done anything wrong. So we've and as I touched on a few minutes ago, we come from a perceived position of we haven't the depth there, especially Dave Carney getting a little bit older too. So all of a sudden having really high quality players in that back three division, and teams have now tried to test both Ireland and Leinster. In this case, we're talking about Leinster under the high ball, and we haven't even touched on James Lowe about his high ball, like his improvement under the high ball. Like it's not an area teams are going to get change against Leinster, and if Leicester aren't going to do it, the remaining teams definitely aren't going to do it. They don't have the weaponry to target Leinster in those areas.
Yeah, go on, Mark.
No, sorry. I think he's become invaluable to both Leinster and Ireland now, because after Rob Kearney retired, everybody's like, what the hell are we going to do at fullback? And then Hugo Keenan comes out of the sevens program and has developed massively. I think Jimmy O'Brien's our next option at fullback as well. He's probably just behind James Lowe in terms of the Ireland thinking. And, him and Mac Hansen are actually very similar players. And Keenan, I think, are very similar players. I'm one of Rob Kearney's biggest fans under the high ball, Imperious, very strong tackler, very good going forward. But the one thing that Rob Kearney used to drive me up the wall was every time he caught the ball, if he went for a run, the ball was tucked under one arm, and you only knew that Rob Kearney was never passing the ball. It was taken into contact and setting it up. What I absolutely love as a coach is watching Jimmy O'Brien and Hugo Keenan running with the ball. Ball is in two hands, so you do not know what they're doing. They're wiry strong, both of them, to take it into contact. And Keenan is quick. He's obviously got some sevens pace, but he never looks like he's running quickly. Whereas there was 3 or 4 occasions yesterday is the first time that I've really seen Jimmy O'Brien let his legs loose, and the boy is quick. He ghosted around people and he put the foot down a couple of times. And if there's one thing Leinster and Ireland lack, it's a guy like Will Jordan who can run from 80 meters and just keep running away from people. We probably lack that serious pace to do it, but we combat that with players like Keenan and O'Brien and Hansen, who are smart rugby players. And as Tom said, you don't know if he's smart or if it's something that's been coached into where you do it. But as a coach, watching a back three player attack the opposition with the ball in two hands, having the options to take it into contact, to pass, to pass the support, to kick, is the next step in the evolution of rugby players, right?
Yep.
I'll go back to the CJ Stander to Caelan Doris thing, even from CJ Stander to Gavin Coombs. I will pick Coombs and Doris every day over Stander. And I'm not saying Stander was a bad rugby player. He was just limited. There was a poll put up that he had 5 of the 6 best carry totals in the Six Nations from 2015. And that's phenomenal work rate. But he probably averaged a half a meter to a meter per carry. And how many offloads did he do in 6 seasons? At the end of the day, the next evolution is Coombs, is Doris, is that sort of player. I think the next evolution from Rob Kearney is Keenan and O'Brien. Definitely.
And like you say, we don't want to, it's a good position to be arguing over who was the best player in the match. But Gary Ringrose did a lot of good in the game. He got the 2 early tries and stuff, and no problems with him getting it. But I'm glad we've had a chance to talk about Jimmy as well. But it was a good night for him, and to talk about the importance he's shown over the past couple of seasons to both Leinster and Ireland.